Now, in the studio, I have with me today a wonderful young dancer and choreographer who's recently completed the choreographic residency at the Sydney Opera House as part of the Emerging Female Classical Choreographer Initiative. And she came back from Germany to do the residency. I would like to introduce Amelia Drummond. Welcome.
Hi, it's so nice to be here.
I'm so pleased you're here as well. Tell us a little bit about how you got started. So you were obviously trained here in Australia in ballet.
Yes.
And now how did this amazing adventure to Germany happen?
I didn't start studying ballet until I was about 9 years old. We were in Adelaide. And that's when I actually saw a performance of the Australian ballet. It was La Film Magade.
Ah, that's a perfect one to start with, isn't it?
Yeah, with the chickens and the clog shoes.
Dance.
Yeah. And I just fell in love with the magic of like what it was to be on stage, and not even being on stage, but the thought of them, what they did behind the scenes to prepare. And I told my mum, that's what I want to do.
Is that at the age of 9?
That was at the age of 9, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And my
so
mum,
you must have worked really hard after that.
Yes. My mum was like, okay, if that's what you want to do, then go for it. I'll be here to support you. And so at that time, I went and started looking for more professional ballet schools. And that's when I found the Australian Conservatoire of Ballet in Melbourne, which was a full-time school.
So how many hours a week were you doing dancing?
Oh, I'd say it was about 6 hours a day and 6 days a week. And I did a range of different styles. I did musical theatre, even classical ballet, of course, Pilates classes, jazz.
So it's a good broad knowledge to start with, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then what was it that spurred on the change at the age of 16?
There's really not many opportunities in Australia to get a job unless you want to go to a very big company, and it's very hard to get into those types of companies. So I thought, with the support of my parents, that the best opportunity would be to go to Europe and start to get my foot in the door there. And I didn't think much of leaving Australia. I just thought, Australia's, I don't know, it's just behind me. It's such a small little country. I'll just go and see how I go.
Is it kind of like ignorance is bliss?
Yeah, it was a little bit, yeah. I just wanted to get away, I think. But when I got over there, when I was 16, I had a lot of homesickness. I wasn't enjoying it at all.
Who did you stay with if you were there?
I was by myself. I had my own apartment.
Oh my goodness, so you had to grow up really fast.
I did. First of all, I went on an audition tour of Europe. So I visited with a group of my classmates from Australia. We went and visited lots of different companies and schools, and I got offered a place at 3 different schools, but I chose to go to Mannheim, which is like the University of Mannheim, where I could do my bachelor degree there as well.
What is it that drew you to Mannheim?
I think it was a really cute little city. It was in Germany. I could learn a new language, even though it was very scary to have to think about being so alone in such an isolated environment. I just thought that being in a smaller school would help me progress a little bit more with what I wanted to do.
And it's got such a history of music education,
yeah, it does.
Doesn't it?
It does.
Centuries of it.
The university there is incredible, and it's world renowned for its music.
So was it packed full of musicians as well, I suppose?
It was. The sounds coming out of it when you walked into the school, it was beautiful. The cellos, the pianos, the violins, it was amazing.
Were you mixing with the musicians there as well?
To be honest, not really. I was very shy and introverted when I was there, so even if I tried to make friends, I wouldn't have talked to anyone.
So how long were you there?
I was in Mannheim for 1.5 years, and during that time I took a choreographic and improvisation class, and I absolutely hated it. I despise the thought of having to put myself in a really uncomfortable situation, even though I was already in Germany. And I just thought, why do I need to do this? I couldn't imagine why in the future, if I just wanted to be a classical ballerina, that I would need to develop my own ideas. But from there, it turned out that I fell in love with finding my own movements, and I actually developed a choreography as part of my bachelor's degree. And the first rough draft I did, I brought into the studio and I showed my teacher, and he was like, Amelia, you have to find your own movement, your own style. You can't just copy the classical movements that have already been invented, because this is an improvisation class. So he made me go away and redo the whole thing, which was the best thing he ever did. And I came back with a really weird style. And he was like, I love it. Keep that. And that piece that I did actually toured with the school in that next year.
So what happened after that? You had several more years in Germany, didn't you, before you came back here?
Yes. I then, after my bachelor year in Mannheim, I was offered a job with the company, which is called the Badische Staatsballett Karlsruhe, the Baden State Ballet of Karlsruhe.
Mm-hmm.
And that company is a neoclassical, classical and modern repertoire. So I got to do all the classics like Swan Lake, Sleeping Beauty, Romeo and Juliet, and then into more of the experimental ballets, which was interesting. But also at that time, I didn't really care for neoclassical or modern. I just wanted to be a classical ballerina. Yeah.
With all these productions, were they all taught to you in German?
We had repertoires and choreographers come in to teach it, and in a theatre the common language is always English, so
okay,
yeah, I never had a problem with that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Right. So you had that job and you were working through, you were in the corps de ballet?
I was in the corps de ballet. Actually, my contract was called a group with solo, so that means that as well as having the group contract, you could also be given opportunities to do solo roles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a great opportunity, isn't
yes.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you hear about the residency here in Sydney?
So I was scrolling through Facebook one day and I came across the post from Dance Australia magazine, and they wrote about this new initiative that they were going to bring to life from this year.
So this is the inaugural...
This is the inaugural, the first, I'm the guinea pig.
Wow.
Yeah. And I thought, after doing my choreography as well at the school, as well as I did a choreography in 2018 for our choreographic night as part of the theatre. And after doing those two choreographies, I found a voice that I didn't realise I actually had. And I saw this opportunity and I just thought, I have to do that. I didn't even hesitate to apply.
So you won over 40 applicants.
Yeah.
And how did you feel when you first found out about that?
I had no words. I got an email to say that I'd been chosen and I think I just burst into tears. I couldn't believe that I'd been given this incredible opportunity. Now that I'm here and I'm in Australia, the hard work begins, but at that time it's just a flood of emotion, and I felt everything that I'd done in my career up until then, all the struggles that I went through, and trying to find my voice had finally been worth it to get this opportunity.
So this could be your big launch pad, really, couldn't it? So once you got here, because you've recently completed that residency, what do you think changed within you in doing that residency?
Yeah, the residency was a really great experience because prior to that, I'd just been planning it, all been in my head, and to be given a chance to have dancers to work with and create on is incredible. That opportunity doesn't come around often, and these dancers are students, so they're pre-professional students, and I could give them as many of my ideas as possible. But I also learned a good lesson in that I also have to listen to their bodies as well, and I can't just put my ideas straight onto them, and find a way to communicate with them that will kind of enhance my ideas and bring my story to life.
It's a partnership, isn't it, really? Yeah. So tell us, you've chosen this little piece of music from Act 4 of Swan Lake.
Yes.
Why is that little piece special to you?
Well, Swan Lake is a story of a lot of pain and suffering as part of the story, as well as what the dancers go through in that ballet. Just the journey you go through with the music and with my colleagues that I went through, working as a team as a part of 16 swans, or is it 20 swans, and stage at a time.
Unless you're at the Bolshoi, then it's
like
100 swans.
Working as a team and feeling so connected to my colleagues at that time and my friends as well, because we were family. Also, we're all living away from our family, so it really got to us, even though it was very hard. And I think this piece of music in Act 4 brings me a lot of joy to listen to.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Well, let's have a listen to it. This is a piece from Swan Lake. And that was a little piece from Act 4 of Swan Lake, performed by the URSS Radio Television Grand Orchestra, and Vladimir Fedziev was conducting. And at the moment I'm in the studio with Amelia Drummond, a young choreographer who's just completed her residency at the Sydney Opera House as part of the Emerging Female Classical Choreographer Initiative. Amelia, becoming a female choreographer, it's just interesting that they've got this new initiative going for females. And recently I saw the Natalia Osipova at the Sydney Opera House, which is where I met you as well. And I noticed that only one choreographer out of the 6 that she used was female. How do you feel about this idea of encouraging females in the choreography area?
Yes, I believe that, well, I know that females are underrepresented in this field, and to get this opportunity to have a voice as a female choreographer is incredible, and it's also building up the industry as we go. I absolutely respect Natalia Osipova and what she did in her performance of Pure Dance, because as a classical dancer, she's expected to do classical dance, but what she showed, she danced way out of what people expected of her, I believe, and I think that's a very strong thing to do. With the choreographies by men, it's very slowly trying to change. We're slowly trying to change that. And
well, it is strange, isn't it? Yeah. Considering how many, you look at a company, you have all these females and a lot less males usually in a dance company, and yet the female voice is not always heard in the choreography side of things. So I think it's wonderful.
I believe that when we are training, we are trained to be like a clone of everyone. So
to conform and be a swan in the lineup.
Yeah, that's right. We can't be different, and to be able to put forward ideas and be creative is scary, and it's just not natural for ballet dancers. So I think to have more students in more schools being taught to be different and be given the opportunity to make a choreography, or even if they don't like it, put it out there and maybe you will.
Expressing and getting the creativity going, isn't it? So this great gift that you've had as the residency, where does it lead you to? You're off to Melbourne next?
Yes, I'm off to Melbourne to choreograph for the Australian Ballet's Body Talk season, and I'll be choreographing on 4 dancers there.
Will they be from the Australian Ballet?
Yes, they're Australian Ballet
moving
dancers.
Up in the world then, you're up to the top of Australia, that's good.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to putting my ideas on professional dancers, because I know that they have so much freedom and they're so well trained technically, and I'm excited to see what I can create with them.
Do you find that you think, I mean, you don't know yet, but when you start to work with these dancers that are like supreme, that you'll be able to push your mind as far as they can move? Do you know what I mean? Like I've seen choreographers sometimes, and they really only create stuff that they could dance themselves. Yeah. How do you feel about that, about being able to work with really great dancers?
Yeah, to be honest, it's a fear of mine that I won't be able to push them or challenge them in a way that they can move.
It's a bit of an exploration, isn't it, really?
It's an exploration,
can you handle it?
That's where it comes into play, that I have to react off them, and I'm not really worried if I challenge them physically. Actually, for me, the most important thing when choreographing is to bring my stories to life. I have a lot of deep feelings, and a lot of the time my choreography is my personal experiences. Choreographing is not necessarily to have the highest legs or the most extreme
tricks.
The tricks. It's really about portraying a story to the audience and saying something that's not just my experiences, but that can also relate to the world as well. And I think the best choreographers are the ones that can bring art to the people.
Yeah, that's a lovely way to put it. Yeah, because I think once you can do that and bring the arts to the people, then they relate to that. It's not just a bundle of movements. Yeah. It becomes something they can remember and be moved by.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're on an amazing journey. I think you're doing so well. And I hope as you go through this and you go to Melbourne, you'll be working on this. When is that being performed? Is it October, did you say?
It's October, middle of October.
Lovely. In Melbourne?
Yes.
So this whole, each step of the way as you go along is going to build your confidence and get you bolder in how you can express those ideas. So I really want to wish you the best with that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Amelia Drummond.